But again, Kathryn, you know, in choosing, you didn't go for the stars. You couldn't afford them, but you didn't go. But your casting is amazing. You're just right on the nose every time. Did you go through a long process of auditions and discussions?
Well, that was the kind of intention going in, was not to cast known actors for very much the same reason, you know, that kind of baggage. In other words, you're looking at, you know, in this case, a drama, a war film, and you don't want to have any preconceptions about who's going to live and who's going to die, who's vulnerable, who's invulnerable, where you can have that even unconsciously with an actor you know, are very familiar with. It's like, oh, he can't die till the last act, or another heroic death if he does. So that was the intention going in, that they have that unfamiliarity, which I think underscored tension and suspense, and then it's a matter of finding extraordinary breakout talent, which I think we were lucky to do in Jeremy, Anthony, and Brian. And,
you've made a few careers.
But you did something interesting, which is that you also played against our expectations by casting Guy Pearce and Ray Fine. Those guys aren't going to die. They're the movie stars. And boom, you blow up Guy Pearce. It's 45 seconds. You know? So it's like all bets are off after that.
that's the intention.
Yeah.
Lee, there was a brief moment, you're such a good-natured and good-spirited guy, but there was a brief moment after your picture was released when some here and there African-American intellectuals decided that your picture depicted blacks in a negative way.
Why do you want to start this? I'm having a good day. I'm with all these pretty black people. And you gotta start this shit.
It was the right moment to turn him loose. As I say, a good-natured person. Were you in any way disturbed by that initial buzz?
I was, because I think that he missed the point. There's no way for us to grow as black people if we don't address problems that are at home. And I think that Precious's story is not a black story. It's a universal story. It's a story that Jewish people, you know, that Chinese people, that white people. It's a bigger. He missed it, and but I ain't gonna miss him when I see him.
Take it personally.
Well, you too, of course, have an amazing cast of characters. I've heard you tell about how you managed to select it, but that is, you've made some stars too, man. I'm sure there's a sense of togetherness that your picture has, and no other film does.
Thank you. I'm really proud of Mariah. I'm very proud of her work in it. I'm very proud of Monique's work in it. I think that these actors most actors don't get a chance now. I'm meeting with movie stars now that are unemployed sometimes, and it's a bizarre sort of place to be in, and I especially the likes of Monique, who is pretty much didn't have a job prior to as an actor prior to Precious. They give their souls because this is like a one-shot opportunity for African Americans to work. Paula Patton. We don't have jobs, so this was a time for everybody to show off, and they did.
Pete, you have a right to look smug because you could be the best. You could be the best animated picture, the best picture. I mean, you can't lose this year. Do you really care which of those categories you win, since obviously you maybe win both?
Well, I mean, I'm just happy to be here. We almost look at our films as not in any special category. A lot of people say, oh, my kids love your movies or whatever, and that's great. We certainly try to make it work for kids as well, but we always think of them first and foremost just as films. They have the same responsibility as any other film, and that is to reach people and talk to people. So that nomination was particularly meaningful to us. We do a lot of story reels, which is like a comic book version of the film with temporary music and dialogue and sound effects, and that's an extension of the script process for us. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, and that was very meaningful.
But since you're not working on a limited budget, say like Kathryn, and you can stop any time and try to make it better, I should think there'd be a temptation just to keep dicking around with the picture for years.
Well, actually, we are working on a limited budget. Surprising to people, but we have the same constraints as anybody else. Now, having said that, we can go back to people and say, hey, we need a little more time here or whatever. But yeah, it's I mean, there's certain parts of the film that just crystallized right away. We found this sequence that was the first one we storyboarded was Carl Goes Up, where the nurses knock on the door and he ends up ripping the house and floating through the city. And that seemed to just crystallize what I was after for the feeling of the film. And that came out very quickly. Other parts, it took 50 times at least of rewriting for the scene where they meet the Christopher Plummer character. So you just never know. And the part, I guess, when you know you're done is when it works, when it hits you, and the other directors, that's the other aspect of working at Pixar that's really great, is I get to show stuff to Brad Bird and Andrew Stanton, all these other guys who are on staff, and they're the people I get notes from instead of executives, so don't hate me.
Now, Todd, I know you're a funny guy who makes funny movies. Why are comedians and funny guys, by and large, manic depressives?
Wait, I forgot that. No, I don't know that. I think that they get a bad rap. I know a lot of guys, in comedy, obviously, and I don't think that they're all manic depressives, but I do think people always look to them to cheer them up, and so when, they're on their regular setting and they're not, they don't want to necessarily be the clowns, maybe that's something that maybe that speaks to it a little bit. But I don't find them, that all of them as tortured individuals. But it is a rough business, I think, comedy. A lot of the guys that I've worked with came up through stand-up, and I know, that's breeds a whole different kind of comic. And but I'm just thinking of the guys, I'm thinking none of them really feel like manic depressive.
Just Leno and Letterman.
Leno and Letterman.
Oh.